In this day and age, we hear a lot about the buzzword narcissism. Now, I'm not here to diagnose anyone, but I do know that the Bible does speak about many individuals who suffered with the same personality traits. Now, we know that we're not super surprised about the way that people have been conducting themselves and the mindsets that people have nowadays. The Bible does tell us that in the end times, people would be lovers of self, they would be prideful, boastful, lovers of money, there would be no regard for human life. And so here we are today, witnessing it in real time. Now, you may be hearing people speak about the Jezebel spirit or the spirit of Ahab, and you might be wondering, well, what exactly does that mean? Where does that reference even come from? And it comes from 1 Kings, where they speak of King Ahab, who was the king of Samaria in Israel, and his wife Jezebel. It also speaks of Naboth, who was given land by God, and the prophet Elijah. So King Ahab decided that he wanted this piece of land that was near his palace. This piece of land was a vineyard, and it actually belonged to Naboth, who was given this land and inherited this land by God. So Ahab approached Naboth and asked him if it would be possible for him to buy this piece of land for what it was worth. And Naboth's response to Ahab was that it was an inheritance given to him by God and that he wasn't willing to give it up. So the Bible describes King Ahab going home sullen and angry, so much so that he decided that he wasn't going to eat. When his wife Jezebel realized that he was so upset, she asked him what was wrong, and Jezebel pretty much told him, don't worry about it, I'm going to get this handled, I'm gonna fix this. So she essentially found these two men and wrote a letter in Ahab's name. These two random men write up charges against Naboth, which were not true, saying that he had blasphemed against God and against King Ahab. He was sentenced to death, and he died by stoning. So when it was all said and done, Jezebel went back to her husband Ahab and pretty much told him, it's taken care of, go ahead and get your land. The prophet Elijah came to King Ahab and told him, look, because you have done this, have your hands dirty. You are going to die, and the dogs are going to lick up your blood. Your wife is going to die on the wall near the palace, where the dogs will devour her as well. God also told Elijah to tell King Ahab that he was going to bring disaster upon him and cut him off from every male in Israel. Because of his actions and his wife's actions, it has caused his people of Israel to sin. God also told the prophet Elijah to tell King Ahab that all of those who died in the country would be devoured by the birds, and all of those who died in the city would be devoured by the dogs. So you can see that God was not pleased. King Ahab humbled himself. He put on some sackcloth, walked around meekly. God had mercy on him and told him what he had condemned him to would not fall on him, but it would fall on his descendants and the times of his sons. In 2 Kings, Jezebel, even to the death of her, decided to adorn herself and put on her makeup, knowing that she was going to die. She was pushed to her death out of the window and died on the wall near the palace. And when they went to go find her and identify her body, they could not, because the dogs had devoured her. She was not recognizable. All that remained was her skull, her hands, and her feet. When we bring this back to narcissism and what we're dealing with in today's day, we can see that the spirit of Jezebel is one of manipulation, very cutthroat, someone who does not have any regard for human life, for things that don't belong to them. They are willing to stop at anything to get what they want. As Jezebels, you think about those that are sexually immoral, people that are self-centered, willing to stomp on anyone and anything in order to get their own personal gain, wrapping and roping people into the things that they are orchestrating, or getting people to go along to do their evil bidding, willing to bring other people along with them in order to get to their end goal and have no remorse whatsoever. When we think about the spirit of Ahab, This is the spirit of meekness. This is the spirit of a man that does not speak up for what's right. He's allowed himself to be manipulated, allowed himself to essentially be guilty by proxy or guilty by association, because he did nothing to stop her. He did nothing to call her out after he found out what she had done. He just was reaping the benefits of whatever his wife had planned, with no regard for it being wrong, no regard for what God had given this individual, no regard for human life. The next time that we hear about somebody who's dealing with the spirit of narcissism, and you hear people saying they have a Jezebel spirit or they have a spirit of Ahab, now you'll know exactly what that means and where that comes from. I hope that this message resonated with who it was meant to. As always, I love you. God loves you even more. Take care until next time. Mwah.